the work that we're doing with Brian is that the same problem with him is the same problem we have, which is the money to operate these new machines, which are very, very expensive to operate. But we now have a new one that, while still expensive, he has the capacity, because they bought a new machine. They were given 5 free kits. Each kit costs $15,000, 15,000 US dollars. So each kit allows for a run. So he's going to be able to apply one of those to the Starchild and one of those to the Coneheads samples to see what can be pulled out from a machine that can pull literally millions of base pairs out per run.
Okay.
So we should get a lot of good information. This is just the bottom line. We should have a lot of good information about both bones fairly soon. We think well before Christmas.
Okay. Ils vont avoir des résultats très probants avant Noël avec des machines qui coûtent chacune $15 000 et qui ne peuvent produire qu'une seule analyse à la fois d'échantillons. Donc avec les échantillons d'os des crânes allongés de Brian et le crâne du Starchild, ils sont en pleine analyse en ce moment avec ces nouvelles machines qui coûtent très cher, donc ils auront des résultats très très probants avant Noël. And you just acquired those machines?
Yeah, the machine was just put into place last week. No, a week before last.
Okay.
Late the week before last, because I went up last weekend. I went to the lab to see it and to see the machine, to see how it worked. I sat down and watched several of the installation videos explaining to people there how it worked, just to give a sense of how it's done. And it looks like it's a machine. Imagine, if you would, kind of a very, very large printer, those large 3-in-1 printers.
Right.
And you know how you have an ink cartridge that goes in and it inserts and all that? Well, imagine a very big ink cartridge about that size. Yeah, about that size.
Okay.
And in that ink cartridge, there are a bunch of wells of liquid, and there are like 20 to 30 of those, and each of those is a different experiment part. And there's one with a big red arrow on it, one of those, and that's where you put your sample of your DNA.
Okay.
And then you slide that cartridge into the machine, and over the next 8 to 10 hours, it does its work, and you don't do anything else. Your job is to get the DNA properly into the slot, and then you let the machine do its work.
What period of time do you need for that machine to produce a relevant or a really potent analysis of the DNA?
Well, there are two parts to it. There's the preparation for putting the DNA in that slot, and that takes days, if not weeks, because you have to build what's called a library. So that's the first part of the answer.
Ok. Donc en fait, ça prend des semaines parce que il faut placer cet extrait d'ADN de façon très très précise dans chaque fente, et ce qui s'appelle une bibliothèque en fait. Bibliothèque d'ADN. Voilà.
Once you have clean DNA and you put it in, then it only takes the machine 8 to 10 hours to produce a result, and it will be millions of base pairs. So the problem then is, once you have those base pairs, you have to make sense of what they are. You have to send them off to the NIH, you have to have them analyzed, you have to see where there are corollaries with human and where there are not corollaries with human, and see what the difference is. And if you can, compare the corollaries to the human and see if there are any significant differences within those.
NIH is a lab? Is that what it is?
The National Institutes of Health. It's the single dominant force in American genetics because it's a government agency.
So that's great. You've got backup from the U.S. government then to do your DNA testing.
No. It's not like that.
Okay.
The NIH works only with certified and well accepted and tolerable programs, things they want. Like if you're a scientist and you say, I want to do the DNA of a rat, they'll give you the money. But if we were to say we want to do the Starchild or Coneheads, they're not going to give us the money for that.
Oh, okay. Why is it so sensitive? Is it? Are they afraid of the results that may be?
Yeah, to prove alien reality is something that no mainstream scientist wants to happen, because as soon as that happens, their world gets turned inside out and upside down. The first thing to go is going to be Darwinian evolution, and they don't want to lose that if they can possibly avoid it until there's no other choice.
True. Let me explain that. Are the people working on the DNA testing in the lab aware that the samples are coming from the Starchild skull, for example, or from?
Oh yes,
yeah?
yes, they are, right.
D'accord. The people who don't want those results to come out in public can actually pressure the people who work in those DNA labs. Can they manipulate them in order to produce different results?
No, you could pressure them to stop. You could just, if the government wanted to, they could just roll in and demand that it all be stopped and all. If they wanted to try to do that, they could do that. You can't change the results, because if you're very careful about the DNA that you extract and you make sure that there's no contamination, and that's fairly easy to do, once you put it in the machine says what it says. It does what it does. That is not changeable or stoppable. Where you can stop it is if the government were to just come in and declare that it was a matter of national security, let's say.
Okay, so that's going to make a big difference, you think, in the way mainstream science is going to interpret the future of our evolution, or reevaluate the theory of evolution. It's good.
Well,
it's
it's hard, Mark, to guess all of the ripple effect that this proof is going to have, but it's going to be similar. You can tell your audience it's going to be similar to what happened in the 1500s when Copernicus and Kepler and Galileo moved the Earth from the center of the physical universe. They believed in the 1500s that the Earth was the absolute center of the entire universe. And in the 1500s, they had to accept and get used to the idea that that wasn't true. Now, we're going to have to get used to the idea that we are not the biological center of the universe. And that's going to be as big a change for us as it was for those people in the 1500s.
Okay.
Starchild is going to prove to be 100% alien, exactly, not hybrid.
Great. I guess more open-minded mainstream science, maybe, you think?
Well, open or closed-minded isn't going to matter. If we if we produce a genome that is significantly different from human, which we know we can do now, they have no choice. I mean, it's just get on board or get out of the way.